if I'm government, I would tax people heavily
For burying.
for burying, because it's a huge public health hazard.
Hi there. It's really exciting to have you again with me on today's episode of the Just Start podcast, where we bring you conversations, stories, insights, around business, culture shaping, leadership, and much more, especially around and from the city of Jos and North Central Nigeria. I'm always having amazing guests, and today I have someone who is amazing. His work spans quite a number of things, and I'll get to that very shortly. But you know the drill. So you know the drill. Let's go at it. If you've not liked this already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, because we need to get this as far as possible. The conversations that we bring you every week are not only rich in content, but are rich in shaping the future. So if you've not done it, what are you waiting for? All right, now we move on straight into the meat of today. And my guest today is someone whose work spans across policy, academia, public service, international institution, and governance. His work has gone so far in impacting this region that we live in, but also Nigeria as a whole, especially in the conversations of peace and international relations. I have no other person here today than the Professor Chris Kwaja, who is a wonderful guest, but most importantly, a very proud son of the soil here on the plateau. And it's really good to have you here today, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother. And good morning, Nigerians.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I like to start at the very beginning, which gives people kind of like an insight into you as a person. So who was Chris Kwaja before he became the Professor Chris Kwaja?
Chris Kwaja was that Nigerian that grew up in Nigeria, schooled in Nigeria, experienced Nigeria, and is still experiencing Nigeria. And that transition from a Chris Kwaja to what you call the Professor Chris Kwaja today is one that can best described as a transition in search of a better society. And that this search for a better society is one that places me at the very center of what it means to be a responsible Nigerian. And a responsible Nigerian is one that understands his duties, his obligations, and his rights as a citizen of this country.
That's profound. Now, what were the things that shaped your early years that took you into the path that you chose? Academia, and then, of course, eventually governance, and a lot of all the other things that you've done in between that.
The first is family values. Family values that were rooted in love, in justice, in equity, and in sharing with your brothers, your sisters. We grew up in families, in communities where you have a duty to protect the other, to speak for the other, to stand for the other, and that your humanity is incomplete without the humanity of others. So it was about shared love, shared prosperity, and shared appreciation of what we all stood for. And we stood for a society that should benefit all, regardless of our religious differences. We were more on the part of accommodation than tolerance. When you tolerate people, it means there are things you don't like about them. But when you accommodate people, you accommodate them on the basis of your appreciation of the differences that God created us with different features, different things we like or we don't like, and that it's in that difference that we come together and appreciate one another. It's called unity in diversity. And as we grew up on the basis of these values, we went to school and we also appreciated this whole notion that you must be an individual that is defined by certain principles. The principle of hard work, the principle of fairness to people, the principle of critical reasoning, the principle of respect for people's views. That when people differ with you, they don't hate you. They say what you focus on is your reality, but there are multiple realities. So life comes with multiplicity of people and realities. So when you see life as a complex whole, where each person is coming with a different angle to what life is based on their experience. And that's why we talk about experiential knowledge about life. So the concept of values and principles defines people, and it has defined me. My background, I read political science, specializing in international relations and strategic studies, and I've been quite active in the peace and security space. But interestingly, my initial ambition was to be a pharmacist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Be a pharmacist. My classmates in secondary school are doctors, pharmacists, and some are computer scientists. But I chose, at the end of the day, I dropped science and went into social science. It's because of the discourses, the social realities and conditions I see. I still read things about pharmacy. Yeah, I buy books about that. So I touch every part while I maintain my own professional line. And that line where I am now has really helped me. It has empowered me to value people, to work with people. I've been active across different spaces, civil society. I've been quite active in that space. In the academia, I started from a graduate assistant and to a point where I became a full professor of international relations and strategic studies. Within the policy space, I had the opportunity of being in government for 4 years as Director General and Director General Research and Planning in the Governor's Office, as well as Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs between 2011 and 2015. I spent 6 years working within the UN system as the African representative on the UN Working Group on mercenaries, with a global mandate to monitor and report on the activities of mercenaries across the world. People will ask, mercenaries, what are mercenaries? Mercenaries are individuals that offer their skills for hire to go and fight on behalf of countries, on behalf of individuals. We've documented, we know them, we've documented the activities, and I've had the privilege of presenting to the UN General Assembly an annual report on that. I've also presented to the UN Human Rights Council a report, and part of our annual report on different aspects of mercenarism, which today is one of the major security dilemma that Africa confronts. They are all over the place. Unfortunately, since 1977, when ECHO, when the defunct Organization of African Unity set up the convention on the elimination of on the elimination and financing, as well as recruitment of mercenaries, not much has been done in terms of strengthening the legal framework on that. And that's why you see mercenaries all over Africa today. It's something that has been quite dear to me. And on the basis of that, I have been an active voice from the perspective of multilateral institutions. The African Union is there, the European Union is there, the UN itself is there, and ECOWAS. I've been quite active working with these institutions. Not much has been done, but we still hope that African leaders will see reason why they should invest heavily in knowledge around understanding the changing dynamics when it comes to the peace and security landscape of Africa and Nigeria. In particular, today, you see where we are in Nigeria. Insecurity everywhere. We need to invest in thinking, in knowledge. Developed countries that we copy invest heavily in R&D. R&D is research and development. But when you come to Africa and you ask, how much of your budget do you set aside on research? I'm talking of critical research for development, because they go together. The whole idea of the town and the gown is to bridge the gap between research and policy. Because what the policy makers do should be informed by quality research. Do they invest in research? There are gaps in that context, and this is also part of what some of us have been advocating for, that leadership, that thought leadership is different. And when you say thought leadership, you are talking about a leadership that is rooted in knowledge, a leadership that invests in critical thinking, critical reasoning, and that on the basis or strength of that quality of reasoning and thinking, you are able to make informed decisions for the betterment of society.
Now, would you say that this is the gap that exists between policy and the execution of it, especially in a country like Nigeria?
Yeah, it is. Sometimes policymakers will say, oh, we have all these reports, we have all this, but it's not about the number. It's about the quality. The quality of the research. Now, how do you deal with biases in research? That's where professionalism comes in. Part of the problem with the research we conduct here is that emotions, sentiments drive the quality of analysis, the quality of recommendations, and the quality of conclusions. People place their identities or superimpose their identities in research. That's not research. Research should be devoid of what your interest is. Say it as it is. Present it as it is for the good of all. But when you sugarcoat recommendations because you don't want policymakers to be angry, or you don't want your people to label you as anti-them, then you begin to frame conversations that suit the emotions and expectations or biases of people.
Amazing. What was the defining moment for you that took you from the study of international relations and conflict and all of that to the point where you said, I have to step in and do something because there's a need?
I spent some time in policy. I spent 4 years in government in Nigeria. I spent 6 years within the UN system. I was shuttling
Between
physically.
Nigeria.
No, I was shuttling between Switzerland and New York for 6 years. And I had the privilege, rare privilege, of interacting with presidents, prime ministers, ambassadors, country ambassadors, permanent reps within the UN system and all that. And I see, or I saw at that time, the gap that exists between research and policy. And that policy is in their need of knowledge. And this knowledge is more on the academia side than the policy side. And with the experience I've had across these divides and some of the policy advocacy work I do here in Nigeria, I felt there was a need to take a bold step. And that bold step is what has pushed me to say I need to offer myself as an aspirant to contest for the senatorial seat of the Plateau North Senatorial District. Now, this district has not enjoyed or is yet to fully enjoy the dividends of democracy. And when I say the dividend of democracy, I'm not talking about roads and buildings or other buildings. Anybody can provide that. Interestingly, we've had the best infrastructure in this country during military rule than even some of the democratic governments we've seen in the country. So, dividends of democracy around respect for people, around the rule of law as the foundational construct for the everyday living of people. Human rights, the right to life, the right of people to be happy, and all that. We've had representatives, House of Assembly, House of Representatives, Senate. But one dominant feature of representation that I've seen all through is, people are killed. You stand up in the chamber and say, I condemn, our people are being killed. You come for visit. How does your visit stop the next killing? How does your I condemn stop the next killing? By the grace of God, I have had, and I still have, strategic partnerships and relationships that we can deploy beyond condemning. I've not seen these representatives taking the bull by the horn in terms of confronting the institutions direct. And I'll give you an example.
Yes, please.
At a point, one of the attacks that happened in Riom, looking at what happened, the circumstances and all that, it was clear that there was negligence on the part of the military. And I was all out. I called on the Chief of Defense Staff to set up a board of inquiry to investigate the sector commander and the commandant of the STF to explain the circumstances. Because people said early warning signs were given. It's enough to do a more professional job of asking, Mr. Sector Commander, what happened? And I called on the CDS to say, If they are found wanting, remove them, investigate them, let people see action. Few days after, yes, the Chief of Defense Staff acted because the statement went viral. And I got calls from some people, even some retired generals who were saying, oh, you shouldn't go that way. The military, we know some of them are our friends. I said, no, it's not about whether the military is your friend as a retired general. What have you done? People are killed. If you have a relation in Riyom,
you won't be speaking like
you won't be speaking like this. This is human blood that should be protected. You are far from it. You are emotionally detached from it. And that's why you don't understand. For those of us who were in Plateau, who worked in Plateau, and have seen this thing, we know what it means. There's a proverb in the southeast that says, a dead body that is not related to you is more of a log of wood. So you don't care. That's why when you see somebody mourning, if you don't have any relationship with the person, you don't understand the tears. But once you come from the perspective of shared humanity, you will know that the dead bodies, be it Christian, be it Muslim, the dead body in question, the person displaced, the community devastated, are human beings like you. You must show sympathy, you must show empathy. And for me, that's where to go. And I see my candidature as one that is focused on reclaiming the lost glory of intergroup relations, where we saw ourselves as one, reclaiming the lost glory of our city to be safe and accommodative of people, regardless of their identities, a representation that understands what the people want. I'm not promising them heaven, but I'm promising them a representation that is accountable, that is responsive, that understands what it means for a woman to lose a child, for a father to lose a child, for a young man or young woman to lose a sibling, for a neighbor to lose a neighbor. That's the representation we're talking about. It's not about tokenism. It's not about giving people motorcycles and grinding machine. You buy grinding machine and give 50 people within a community. Who will grind whose own? You give them motorcycles. This is what one of our political scientists, Claudaki, framed as the democratization of disempowerment. That's not empowerment. Yeah. You teach them how to make soup and cake. Do you patronize them? No. That's not the kind of soap you use.
It's funny how I had this same conversation with someone just last week.
Yes. So we must change people's thinking about what they expect from their leaders. We should change that thinking. And that's what we are committed to doing. It's not about the conventional way. We've been doing it before. No. It's about new thinking about our future. How do we co-create strategies for the future? How do we co-own the benchmarks for growth? You can only co-own when you participate in shaping it. And that's what we want to do. And we are not just doing it as elites. We are doing it as human beings that understand the ecosystem of poverty, the ecosystem of struggles. How do we build resilience? We are focused on building people's resilience. We must give them a sense of hope. And that's a resilience building project. Because we understand what they are going through. We understand it. And if we understand, then it's easy for us to work with them to address this problem. This whole shift from fragility to resilience is doable. It's possible. Very possible. And many of these things we're talking about don't actually need the millions of naira you can imagine. They need your presence. You must be visible. You must be visible. Build people. We want to build people. Robert Schuller will say, tough times don't last, but tough people do. You can only build tough people to last if you invest in their resilience. So this is a resilience project, and that's why I framed it voices. How do we amplify the voices of people? There is power in the collective voice of people when they speak. But the politicians of our time have broken, injured, fractured these voices to a point that the people are not able to speak as one. They are divided along religion, along ethnicity, and other lines that they think makes it easy to amplify their vulnerabilities. We must close those gaps. We must strengthen it, give them a sense of hope. And that's what the voices the voices mantra does.
A lot of Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, have lost, maybe I won't say have lost hope or faith, but trust. They feel like they can't trust the governance systems any longer. And if we're going to actually build what you have just talked about, in trust between the populace and the leaders is critical. How then do we rebuild trust that has been so broken that the average person is thinking, I have no expectations, or I'm just waiting for the day when I have enough money to leave?
If I am to vote for my man of the year, that was last year. If I was to vote for my man of the year, I will give Baron Trump. Baron Trump, that's the last child of Donald Trump. Just 18 within the 18-20 bracket, told his father, Dad, focus on your campaign. Allow me engage my generation. We understand ourselves. And the father did that. Donald Trump, Baron Trump, was very active on X space. X and Alternative Truth and other social media platforms where young people dominated. And he opened up a conversation about the future of the United States. Why the change they needed will come now if they unite to vote for his father. That's the same framework or methodology we are also adopting. The youth don't trust the system because the system failed them in the past. And because it failed them, the whole question of trust is broken. So you talk of broken trust. Once you give them a reason why they should trust you, stand by it and work with them to actualize what they see ahead. They want education that is qualitative. They want social security, not money now. Social security or social capital, about a safe society where they can grow happily. They want to see development happen. They don't understand why people should be greedy. My children don't understand why people fight over religion, for instance. They will ask me, Daddy, we still don't understand why, because we are Christians, we should fight people that are Muslims. They don't understand that. And I have to sit with them and explain to them that no, those fights are fights that lazy people, wicked people undertake. You're a Christian, you have friends everywhere that are Muslims or who don't even have religion, but focus on their humanity. They are human beings like you. And they have friends across all religions. It doesn't convert them to any. They respect everybody's faith, just the way the people they relate with respect their own. Their friends, Muslims and all that, visit them. I say it's not your duty to go and be talking to them about repentance or coming to your religion. No. Be decent. Be good. That's it. And that's why in the early 60s or so, one of the UK's most respected historians who lived in Nigeria, is called Kik Green, published a book. And that's one of the most powerful books I have. He called it Mutumin Kirki. Mutumin Kirki, the concept of a good man. And he itemized about 9 values of Mutumin Kirki. So, that's love. Adalci, justice. And a kaskantar da kanshi, humility. In a daraja jama'a, upholding the dignity of people. He listed all those. And when you ask yourself today, where are these values? We have killed them. Some are in coma, some are in slumber, all because of our greed. The principle of shared prosperity tells us that the world was created for all humanity to, in love, share what is available. But the greed of people has created a situation of inequity, inequality, injustice, discrimination, marginalization. And people are taking more than they need. And that is it. People are breaking more than they can mend. That's not the way to go. We have conscience. Let our conscience drive what we do. And conscience is not something that you can pigeonhole to say it's only for Christians or for Muslims or for atheists or whatever. No. Conscience is humanity's identity. Be a man of conscience. Be a woman of conscience. Be people of conscience. Let what you do be driven by your understanding that I shouldn't do unto people what I don't want them to do to me. I took time last year to study pain. Pain. Because I was concerned about why people inflict pain on others. And I read about the psychology of pain and the sociology of pain and the science of pain. And the interesting thing about pain was that I also went ahead within the medical sciences to understand pain from the perspective of anesthesia, because that's their job. Yeah. Anesthesiologists manage pain. So all that. And that sometimes there is this collective anger that a group of people within society can generate pain and inflict on people. And that an individual can on his own just wake up and decide to inflict pain on people. See the US, for instance, where one individual will pick up his rifle, assault rifle, and kill 10 people, inflicting pain on families. So, back to our society here. Why will 2, 3 criminals decide that people should not live in peace? Too bad. But in the midst of this pain is the people's collective resolve to fight evil. And we must work with them, we must mobilize them, we must educate them or sensitize them about the dangers of allowing 2, 3 people to hold or siege. And that's what community security initiatives are doing across Nigeria, where communities are coming together to say we will resist any attempt by anyone to unleash terror or mayhem on us.
You just, I think I want to take you from this last one now, because you've gotten into security, where in a region that is will I say popular on the news for these kinds of situations, conflicts. What do you think is the cause for these recurring conflicts? And what would you say that we are not yet addressing properly? And do you think you, from your wealth of experience, especially in peace building, international relationship, and even in security studies, do you think that there is a solution?
There is a solution. There is no problem without a solution. I will give you an example. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I had a conversation, a very deep conversation with some concerned Nigerians about Nigeria and the future of this country. And I took it from the angle of the national question about belongingness. Are we all Nigerians? Do we all have the same rights and privileges? Do we really enjoy good governance and all that? And they came down to asking questions about indigenship. And that, the denial of indigenship is the reason why people are fighting in Just North. I said, okay, let's take it from this angle. What does your indigenship certificate do for you? For me, yes, from the angle of cultural right that I belong to a place, fine. But I pay the same amount of money if I go to the hospital. There is no hospital for indigens and no indigens. There is no school for indigens and no indigens. We all pay the same in the university and all that. There's not like if you're from Plateau, pay this amount. We suffer from the same bad road.
All of us.
Absence of water.
Very true.
So, physically, show me a good example of what an indigent in the context of present-day Nigeria is enjoying substantially that a non-indigent is not enjoying. And you say, come to think of it, we've not imagined this conversation the way you are bringing it. I say, yes, I've studied identity and the politics of identity across Africa. Several countries have done that. And that's the reality. But that the laziness and the manipulative tendencies of some elites in using that to advance their interests makes it easy for them to engage gullible Nigerians. But these Nigerians we are talking about, both the indigens and non-indigens, are all victims of corruption. And I'll give you an example just now. We've had Christian chairmen, Muslim chairmen. Show me the preferential treatment in terms of sharing of loot that Christians were given and Muslims were denied. Or Afizere and Biron were given. Hausa Fulani, Urubu and thieves were denied. A corrupt politician chairman is a corrupt chairman. Yeah. There's not like a corrupt Muslim chairman or a corrupt Christian chairman or a corrupt Hausa Fulani chairman and a corrupt Birom or Afizere or Naguta chairman. They are corrupt individuals who are feasting on the vulnerabilities of the people. And I said, can you imagine all of us keeping this indigent thing in the cooler and collectively fighting for good governance? Let's just keep it aside. I said, okay, we've had enough. Now, Christians, Muslims, Afizere, Birom, Hausa, Fulani, Urobo, Tiv, Idoma, come. Let's fight for good governance. We don't care who you are. Deliver good governance. Fight corruption. Give us water. Give us good road. Power our society. At least local governments can do solar installations.
Yeah.
Do those things. Who will talk about indigenship?
Because we don't have these indigenship problems in most of the advanced countries.
So that's the point. That's the point. It's a lazy conversation. But rights are divided into tools in its granulated form. The political rights. This is the one we are talking about. Now, the cultural rights are the ones about traditional institutions and all that, culture. Those are the ones that, interestingly, you don't see big conflict around them because they are clear. So we don't have problem with that. Now, political rights is about numbers. If you have more number, you contest election, you win. You have won. Deliver.
Yeah.
So, how you frame the conversation around political rights, it's about the numbers you have. And I'll give you an example. I served in Taraba State, Takum local government. You cannot, as a Takum, as a Jukun, you cannot win an election in Takum local government without having a thief as your deputy. Numbers. It's just the number, nothing more. So nobody is sitting down to say, oh, you must know. It's just the number. You know. Go to Wasi, Plateau. You can't win election. You are a Muslim in Wasi, chairman. You can't win that election easily if you do a Muslim ticket, for instance, without bringing a Tarok person as your vice. They will alter the election because of the numbers of the Tarok people in Wasi. Come to Kanam. It's the same thing because of the number. Come to Just Not. You cannot effectively do a Christian, Muslim ticket in Just Not. If you do a Muslim chairman, you have to do a Christian vice chairman. If you do a Christian chairman, you have to do a Muslim vice chairman. Nobody is fighting over that. It's there. The numbers speak. Some of these things happen gradually. And I'm raising this because sometimes the psyche of people, and we are coming to a complex conversation that is happening in Plateau, and it's good I raise it here. Yeah. Just recently somebody said, oh, you must do a Christian governor and a Muslim deputy. It's doable. But look at the environment. I just gave an example in the same Plateau where it is done and it's happening.
Yeah.
You're already building on something. I personally see in the future a Christian governor, Muslim deputy in Plateau in the future. It might not be now. Population is expanding. It will happen. You don't need to fight for it to happen now. Conversations, brotherly discussions. Before Plateau was separated from Nasarawa State, you dare not do a Christian ticket or a Muslim ticket. Tabgun was a good example with his deputy. So, because of the way the population was structured. So there are things that you must not die to explain. You don't need to kill people because you are pushing for this. You don't need to hit the polity. I believe in constructive dialogue. We're people that should enjoy what it means to live in a society that is united. If you go to Bassa, for instance, the conversation is not about ethnicity, it's not about religion, it's about ethnicity. Because we have sat in Bassa and framed a zoning arrangement across the ethnic identities. So we already know who will be chairman in the next 50 years in Bassa. Where the vice chairmanship will come from, where the secretary will come from, We know those on the basis of identities, ethnic. It's possible that in the future, the conversation will not be about ethnic identities. It might now be religion. It tells you that society is not static. Society is constantly in a state of flux. So we should understand that metamorphosis or mutation of identity. And 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the political landscape was patriarchal in nature. It was about masculinity and its dominance. But today, matriarchy is coming up. Feminism is coming up. It's no longer male, men. It's also about women and female. Years ago, who imagined that you will talk about reserving seats for women? Today, the conversation is what? Staring at us. And in Plateau, we've had twice female deputy governors. Would you have tried that 20 years ago, 30 years ago? No. Society is changing. So let's move with the changes that we see, gradual, rather than hitting up the polity.
Wow, that's profound. So at the heart of it, number one, we have to first see ourselves as humans, and then be willing to sit down and discuss, and then make adjustments because we're evolving. Things are changing, and we must also include those changes into how we structure society going forward.
I just gave an example.
Yes, sir.
I spent 5 years leading a project on ECOWAS. It's called West Africa Insight, looking at the future of West Africa.
Yes, sir.
And population dynamics, one, the future of pandemics, two, those very serious issues that we need to look beyond the horizon. It's called horizon scanning. Now, when I sit here and I imagine Plateau from the perspective of future studies, I want to imagine Plateau in the next 20 years. What will be the future of Plateau 20 years in terms of urbanization? And I'll tell you for free that there will be more crime. Yes, there will be more crime because of lack of planning in our urban centers. We have more slums, more people competing for fewer social amenities, leading to competition and conflict. And that these slums will be hideouts for criminals. 2, we will experience more migration from rural areas to urban areas that will choke our society.
Yeah.
And 3, most importantly, is that our population will grow not by birth, but by migration.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, government is making budget for its population on the basis of birth.
And not considering migration.
Not considering migration. So when you close your eyes and you ask yourself, how many women gave birth in the last 1 month in Plateau? And how many people came in to Plateau through migration? More people came in through migration than number of women who gave birth in hospitals. Who is tracking those people that are coming in? Where do they go to? Where do they work? Are the jobs available? That's what future studies does. Because I was part of a major study. It's not out. And I'll give you two studies that I've been part of. One is about the growth of urban centers and what the future holds for urban planning. And I was using a security lens to look at that. So that's one. Two was a study that I was commissioned by the World Bank to do on ID for development. And the question I started with was, does the Nigerian government know its citizens? You can't provide for people you don't know.
Very true.
How many Nigerians have identity cards? Yesterday, I was driving to Jos and I saw a truck that stopped. It had problem, mechanical, it stopped. And in that truck, there were close to 70 young men.
All coming in.
Yes. At Awankibo. They were coming in. I don't know where they were going to, but Awankibo. It's about 70 young men. So I chartered a car from Abuja to take me to Jos. And the person, the person I chartered this car, interestingly, is from Gombe State.
Okay.
And he now said, Megida, wa'annan yaran da ka gani a motar nan yaran mu ne na arewa. Kuma kana ganin sun nan dukkan su kowa na da kudin shi a kugun shi. All the essence, which means all the people you see there, they are moving with their money. They don't have bank account. They don't have ID cards. They're Nigerians.
So digitally, in the Nigerian database,
They don't exist. They don't exist. So I'm coming back to the
Yes.
future of Plateau.
Yes, sir.
And the last one is that the number of people that are given birth to at home rather than hospital is huge. Undocumented births, as well as undocumented deaths. People get sick, they are treated at home, they die at home, they are kept at home, and the funeral is conducted, and they are gone.
That's all.
They were born, they lived, and they left. Government did not know about their existence. In many of these countries you see, and even some African countries, South Africa and others, if you go to a restaurant and you eat, let's say in the meal, you eat beef, something happens to you, they will trace that beef from the store, from the restaurant you ate the beef,
Yes.
to the store, the grocery that
Yeah.
the shop, the restaurant owner bought the beef, down to the day that beef, the animal was given birth to.
Traceability.
Because there's a barcode.
Yes.
It's a barcode. Ask yourself also, public health now. How many people slaughter chickens, goats, rams, and cows in their homes, undocumented?
That was exactly
We don't
what I
know
was
the
thinking.
source. We don't know what the health condition of these animals were. We ate them. And many will fall sick. Many will die. They might die, no problem. But some of these things can stay and start rearing their heads in 5 years,
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah.
Then you have a public health emergency. Because I did a study also for ECOWAS on public health emergency. Do we have the capacity? for managing that.
We do.
Unfortunately, which is also sad, the whole thing about burials in homes and the public hazards. If I'm government, I would tax people heavily
For burying.
for burying at home because it's a huge public health hazard. Government must, through the local governments, establish burial grounds, number one. Families who wants to set up or create their or construct their burial grounds must register with government. We should know where people are buried. Because 90% of the water we drink comes from
the
underground
ground.
sources. How many of these waters
Oh
are
my
purified?
goodness.
Many of the crops we eat, irrigation and all that, rely on this water. And this water is contaminated. People die, we don't know the cause of death, they've been buried, no death certificate. After some time, crops grow, we eat them. We are dealing with cancer.
Whoa.
People are building houses. They don't care where the sand comes from. Many of the sand used for building are debris from mining sites with huge
Yeah. Toxic levels.
toxic properties. And they plaster their homes with them. And they inhale them. Your own is Akamo Yashi. Buy sand. You don't know where this sand comes from. Mining sites that ordinarily should be what? Detoxicated. Cancer everywhere. So, that's the future. Interestingly.
That's a scary future.
It's a scary future,
How
but
do we
that's the
fix it?
future. We can fix them. Leadership, thought leadership, good representation. You know, I tell people, I say, tell people what is right. Yes, I'm contesting for election. I don't care if I lose, as long as I'm telling you what is right. So we must invest in doing the right thing, regardless of what people think. If you are doing the right thing, stand by it. Stand by it. Our society cannot be the way it is. The future is not a good one. Look at the optics I painted.
Yeah.
It's not a good one. We need to invest in thought leadership. Sometimes I interact with government officials, and some of them will call, both Abuja. I've traveled to many African countries. Sometimes at the invitation of some of those public institutions. Some are working. But sometimes you discuss with some public officials, commissioners and all that, and you ask yourself, what is this guy really doing here? It's not about occupying the seat or driving the car with a driver or being driven
Or representing a zone.
or representing a zone on the basis of quota system. It's about the quality of service. It's about your makeup. What you can do. We must ask ourselves very critical questions about what we really want and what we really need. We want good life. Everyone wants to enjoy. But what do we need? We need quality leadership. That should be the pivot upon which our future will rest on. If not, we'll just be going the way we are going. And it's so sad that that's not the conversation. The conversation today is about which party. It's about who is supporting you. Who is your godfather or your godmother? It's about come and pay homage. I tell people, no, we can't bow to Baals. We bow to people, not individuals. People should be the face of the future, not certain individuals. And Emir Sanusi captured it so well that this country can only move the day you decide that you want to address the issue of vested interests. Interests that are inimical to our collective interests. Vested interests. We saw that with the oil subsidy issue.
Yeah.
We see that with the refinery issue. We see that with fertilizer.
Sadly.
We see that in our in Ajakuta steel rolling mill. We see that in our GIB and back farms, the way they ended. And many other industries that were built in the past. Because more people come with their stomach to leadership than with their brains. I visited one of the, I was in Germany some years ago, and I went to the Ministry of Economic Development. And on the wall, they said, here in Germany, we don't rely on our industries, we rely on our brains.
Wow.
We rely on our brains. So, our brains working. Wow. That's where we are. That's our story. But out of every bad story is an opportunity. And that opportunity is a function of our ability and capacity to sit together. To say, enough is enough. We can change this. And we can co-own the process of having a better society.
Amazing. Finally, while we have a lot of people who listen into the podcast from different age groups, the bulk of them are young people. From everything that you have said, what would be a critical thought that you would leave with them from this conversation?
You have to be the change you want to see the society be. If you want a decent society, you must be decent in your thoughts. Because it's your decency that gives you the currency to influence change positively. And our youth have the power, they have the goodwill, they have the relationships that they can cultivate, mobilize, and deploy to getting that happen. They need mentors, and some of us are committed to mentoring young people. I work with a lot of young people. Almost every day of my life, I engage young people. And the first thing I ask them, purpose. What's your purpose? Purpose-driven life. You must do a soul searching exercise and rediscover or discover. Either you discover or you rediscover yourself. One of the philosophers said, you are what you think. If you think you are powerless, you remain powerless. If you think you are strong, you will remain strong. The choice is yours. But I go with the choice, the thinking of strength. The youths are strong. They're a strong generation. They've been disappointed by bad leaders. Sometimes this same youth contributed to the bad leadership by voting uncritically, by supporting them uncritically, by allowing themselves to be cannon foders for violence and hate. It is time we retrace our footsteps. It must be rock. The we just rock mantra. Let's get it on solid foundation. Once they put their feet on that. I love this movie, and it's one of the best movies I've watched, Lion King. When the son was having a conversation with his father, Mufasa and Simba. And Mufasa now lifted his own foot, and Simba placed his own. It's about security, comfort, and hope. He saw in his father a footprint that he must what? That's why at the end of the movie, he was asked, who are you? And he said, I am Simba, the son of Mufasa. And he went back and reclaimed the land from Scar, who took over that land by killing Mufasa. So that story depicts our own reality today. We need young people, men and women. When we ask them, who are you? They know who they are. And because they know who they are, they can go back to the drawing board and reclaim what has been lost.
This has been amazing. Wow. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, just final question, because I know you have to leave. On the heels of this, how do we bridge the gap? Because just you sitting down here, you've shared a lot of things I had no idea, especially with from the perspective of research. How do we bridge the gap with more young people getting into reclaiming and all of that from a place of strategic thinking?
That's what
is
mentorship does.
By research.
That's what mentorship does. Mentorship is about thinking. Teach them how to think. Teach them how to assess people. Teach them how to appreciate good thinking. And teach them how to say no to bad ideas. And show them what a good society look like and what a bad society look like. And guide them to pick, to choose, to make informed decisions about goodness. And that's what we are programmed to do. And that's what, for me, I will spend the rest of my life doing, mentoring people.
Fantastic.
And I think for me, the whole satisfaction I get is from there. James Dobson will say, in Focus on the Family, Dobson will say, at the end of my years here on earth, I don't want to remember the cars, the money, and the houses. But I want to be remembered for the love, for the goodness that I left. Because that's what people will have. I don't want my grave to be that hole, dug and plastered and all that. Your grave can be in the heart of people by the goodness you do, and it's enduring. It's more than all the ones that you see by the roadside when you drive. So just be good people. Show them that they matter. Respect and protect their dignity. Because it's the dignity of people that makes them who they are. It defines them. That's what humanity is all about. And that's what we should all treasure in this tiny blue dot called Earth. Because if you use the stethoscope and all that, or telescope, it's a very tiny.
Yeah.
It's a stethoscope, telescope. It's a very tiny thing, tiny blue dot. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. This has been very amazing, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. I'm very grateful for your time, sir. Thank
My
you so
pleasure.
much. And I'm looking forward to more interactions in the future.
Always available.
And thank you guys for joining today. This must have been amazing. Like I always say, listen to this first time, second time, third time. Get all your friends and family, because there's just so much to unpack out of this. And I hope that it will get you to make the decisions that have been in your heart, or the decisions that just came to your mind right now as you heard this conversation. It's not enough to hear it. It's good to take the very first step and just start. I'll see you at the very next episode. Do take care.